Welcome to the Soul Art Podcast. I'm your host and guide, Will Caminada, and it is my mission to help you become more in touch with your soul, expand your consciousness, and shine your light brighter and brighter so that you can live a life with more purpose, inspiration, and love. My intention for this show is to create a safe place where you can find support and guidance on your spiritual awakening and healing journey. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the Soul Art Podcast, part 2 of my Ayahuasca episode. If you haven't heard part 1, you can go back one episode 12. And also episode 11, the deeper layers of healing, is super connected with these two episodes. And just a quick request before I get into today's story. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button in whatever platform you listen to your podcasts so that you never miss any future content. All right, so I know I said this already, but just going to add a disclaimer here again that I'm not promoting the use of any psychedelic, any plant medicine, or promoting any institution. And also the friendly warning that I'll go really, really deep here, even deeper than the first episode. And for some, again, this may sound very out of the box, very woo-woo, very esoteric, because obviously I'm talking about a psychedelic and you do have visualizations and it's very trippy. But again, my only intention is to share my healing experience and perhaps give you any insight and reflection prompt for you that may help you expand your consciousness. And if you don't resonate with it, that's also fine. There are a bunch of other episodes that you might like in the podcast. So, the second night was a little bit different from the first one. First, because I purged and I felt very sick, but also I went really deep and Aya revealed some things that I was not aware of. This time also, the shamans guided us to spend the day prior to the ceremony. We did the ceremonies at night. So they guided us to spend the day thinking about our intentions for the ceremony. They actually said you can write questions to Aya. So I actually wanted to understand why in this life I carried, for most part, a lot of guilt and a lot of shame around my sexuality. But it was even before anything. I felt like I've been carrying this for my whole life since I was a kid. I had been carrying this for my whole life since I was a kid. Not anymore. I wanted to also understand on a deeper level what my relationships wanted to teach me. My relationships with my family, my closed ones, and my boyfriend who was with me in this trip. And I also had a few questions around the financial freedom I was working for. Well, so the first night was a life review, and this one I would say it was lives reviews, because I was shown several past lives, or parallel lives, if you will. I'll use past lives here, and not only was I able to visualize the scenes, but I was also able to feel the emotions very strongly as the first night. I was shown about 6 lives, and to me, they all just made so much sense. Like right through the visualizations, I could make sense of it, and I could understand why I felt the way I did in this life. And so I had massive clarity and healing too. Because I think the awareness and the clarity just gives you that healing too. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but I'll share the one life that was most impactful to me, and also the one that gave me the most clarity. So in that life, I was some kind of royalty in Great Britain, probably in the 15th or 16th century. And well, that explains why I've always inexplicably felt a connection with the United Kingdom. And I lived there too. And also, well, by the way, I'm Brazilian. And that's why I'm saying I lived there. And also, why most of the initial phases of my spiritual awakening and healing journey happened when I was living there. So, well, yeah, what happened in that life was I was promised to a lady, as it's very normal and the part of the culture in that time. But I was in love with one of the staff from the castle, from the palace, who was a man. And I had read a lot of Brian Weiss's work. He's the author of Many Lives, Many Masters, and so many other books that are awesome. And he does past regression therapy. Um, and I remembered he always guides his clients when they're in that state of hypnosis, in a past life scene. He always guides them to look into their eyes and see if they can recognize the person, if they know who that person is in this current life. And I did that. And I recognized my boyfriend when I looked at that man's eyes. And well, to make a long story short, all I know is that we were having a secret affair, and at some point we were caught, and I guess some kind of authority decided to quote unquote put me to sleep, if you will, to avoid any scandal. So yeah, basically I was killed. And I drank something poisoned before going to sleep, and I died in my sleep. And I remember feeling like it was a painless transition, and it was as if I shrunk into a tiny sparkle of light, and I could observe how my death affected others. My lover, he was extremely sad. He could not even attend the funeral for some reason. My mother was very sad too, and for many years she prepared dinner every night, expecting me, her son, to show up to be her company. So this story tells me so much, and he explains so much, and it also helped me understand the dynamic in the relationship with me and my boyfriend and me and my mom, who are the two of the people that I love the most in this life. So we really are soulmates, and we are having a chance to in this life to heal, to walk a different path, to be together again. And that's why I added parallel lives in as one of the deeper layers of healing in the episode 11, the deeper layers of healing, which if you haven't heard, I suggest that you do so. And I also mentioned animals in that episode and Mother Earth. And in the previous episode, I talked about how much love. The one before this one, I talked about how much love and protection I felt for Mother Earth. But in this ceremony, I actually felt the pain of Mother Earth and the pain of the whole lineage of the feminine side of my family, as well as the history of women throughout the centuries. It was that powerful and that deep and that kind of crazy. So this is going to sound even crazier than the previous episode, but this time I was connecting with a lot of animals, mostly, again, felines, but some birds, even dragons this time. But really, at some point, similar to what I felt with the puma, I started feeling as if I was a lioness. My body was heavy. Obviously, I was laying down on the floor, but I just felt my body really heavy, and my movements were so slow. And I remembered yawning so much, but it felt like I was roaring, or maybe yawning like lions do. And I remembered looking at the cubs and staying in that real, like, mindful moment, like there's nothing to do kind of feeling, which may seem like it's how lions feel most of the time, I guess. Um, However, at some point, I kind of smelled smoke. And when I looked ahead, I saw the forest and it was being burnt. And the fire was just growing bigger and bigger. And oh, bear in mind, by this time I had already purged, and it doesn't feel great, of course. Who likes purging and vomiting? But I know why we do in the ceremony and this experience, because it's cleansing. And so that it's just so that you can go deeper and you just let go of what no longer serves, so that you can heal more. Anyway, back to the lioness and the fire. we we all started running, the whole pack, and we were looking for shelter. We eventually found it, but I remember looking at the fire and the forest being burnt and feeling the anger, the pain, and the frustration of that lioness, as if it was me. It was surreal. It was a mixture of feeling her pain and feeling frustrated and angry at humanity, but also remembering that we are all one anyway. And after that, I couldn't purge any longer, because I had fasted on that day and the previous day too. I didn't have food on me. I just had water. And so I started feeling really, really sick. And I remember at some point standing on fours like a lion and purging into a bucket, but purging for that lioness. I hope this makes sense, because it's hard to put into words the experience, but I felt like I was healing for her. And then I heard a voice that said, "You're doing this not just for her, but for your mother, for your aunt, for your grandmother, and all the women you know in this life, and all the generations of women across the years and years." And after that, I felt super light. And it was then that I really understood that when you go deeper into your healing, you're healing the collective. And I guess if you have listened to episode 11, the deeper layers of healing, you will understand what I'm saying here. You will understand better. But once it was over, I still felt sick for the whole night. But it was all fine once I got up in the morning and ate something for breakfast. So in our after session, I did ask the shaman a few things. And one thing I felt was that my whole experience felt very earthly. It felt like I stayed very much in the realms of the earth, with Mother Earth, the animals, my life as a human being. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of ayahuasca reveals to you what you need to know right now. And I think it was also because I didn't have much knowledge back then about higher dimensional beings, the star seeds, or the so called ETs. And now I do know a bit more because I've been studying, I've been reading and watching documentaries. But then it wasn't in my consciousness then just yet. And you know what? It was all perfect. Like the shaman said, we are always shown what we need to know. And it's up to us to open our hearts to it and really take the healing in. And most importantly, allow time to integrate this healing. Because it's been a year that I had this experience, and throughout this year, I still had insights about that, and I know I do, and I will keep having insights about it. And like I said in the beginning of this part 2 episode, we are able to access this inner wisdom, this inner healing, this inner guidance with constant practice, spiritual practice, with a constant practice of meditation and other healing modalities like breath work, sound healing, past life regression, hypnotherapy, and etc. Really, I think the breath and the willingness to go there and the courage maybe is all you need. And I just want to wrap up this episode with this. The healing journey doesn't have to be so serious, doesn't have to be painful. We don't have to understand, rationalize, or make sense of everything. We feel, we heal. We trust and we heal. We expand our consciousness and we put what we learn into practice while we're alive in this life as a human being. And that's why I say, love, 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 love. Live right now. Enjoy this human experience while you're here. So this life is about being here in your body in this experience. If you're interested in having deep healing experiences, not through ayahuasca, but through the power of breath, I am a certified breathwork facilitator. I mix my experiences and knowledge to guide you into your inner wisdom and that self-healing. And also as a singer-songwriter, I combine sound and voice and guided meditation in my sessions. So if you're interested, just get in touch with me through my website. It's www.willcaminada.com. And Caminada is Caminada. Or you can message me on my Instagram at Guiwill, Guiwill. And I'll leave links in the show's notes as usual. And if this episode has brought you value, please subscribe to my podcast. You can take a screenshot of it, share it to your Instagram story, and be sure to tag me so I know that it's brought you value and your friends might benefit from this episode too. And as always, keep shining your light, keep your heart open, and let love lead the way. I love you. See you in the next episode.